All right, this is episode 4 of season 4. Otis, we're back. How you feeling? Hey, we got a lot of good responses from last episode, man. People like the rawness.
Yeah. They're still asking questions about what we actually went through, which is
Mhm.
really cool. So I'm glad to share all of this pain and endurance that we had to go through. But I'm glad to be back here, man. Season 4, episode 4. It just sounds good. It just feels right. 4-4, right? Remember
Mhm.
Wendy's back in the days, give you the 4-for-4 meals, right? This is gonna be a nutritious serving we're gonna give you guys today. So I'm feeling good about it,
Okay.
man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I feel refreshed. I think last episode we were hurting a little bit. I still had some bruises that hadn't gone fully away.
It's
I'm
true.
back. I'm white. I'm not bruised anymore. So I'm ready to go in on this episode, man, because we got a good topic, right? And the topic is paying the price. And Otis, we're in business. When you hear the term, you gotta pay the price, what comes to your mind immediately?
Oh man, I just got flooded with the idea of of not just like paying the price. So like I think that's the first place my mind went to, but I think that there is like the emotional toll that comes with paying the price and the preparation to be in that space when it comes to like paying the price. Because if being an entrepreneur was easy, I think that everybody would be doing it.
A
Like
thousand percent. You,
I
you
think
know,
that
on social media, that's how it's painted too.
oh
Everyone
yeah.
should be an entrepreneur, man. This is the life. And it's like, dude, you only see the highlight reel. You don't see the grind. You don't see the late nights. People actually don't see the price that you're paying. They're just seeing the reward. And I do, I want to talk about it because I think that's often what's misunderstood. You know, we, you and me, fortunately, are in the business that produces the most millionaires, financial services. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Now, it's funny because we're in a business where we're able to recruit a lot of talent. Okay.
Yep.
Our goal is, hey, we want to find someone that has the potential. We want to show them what's capable. And if they're up for it, we can help a lot of families. We can make some good money doing it. That sounds great on the surface. And then you
Mm.
peel back some layers and you start realizing, well, damn, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's not, because people forgot that there's still a price to be paid.
Yep.
So, you know, I still remember when I was first brought into the business. Luckily for me, I was already kind of starting a business at that point. So I
Yep.
understood there was a price to be paid. But I want to ask you, what do you think are some pitfalls first time entrepreneurs fall in? And you can use our business, for example. What are some pitfalls new entrepreneurs fall in early on in our business?
I think the biggest pitfall is that they don't know how to successfully transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So at surface level, so many people go, yeah, like that makes sense. Duh. But there is there's like a grind, right? To like making that transition. It's almost like the difference between being a collegiate athlete to a pro athlete,
That's a good
right? And
example.
then like
Yeah.
the gap like even widens, if you take it to like high school to the major leagues of whatever sport that's out there. But I think the thing that for me that I look at often that most people don't realize that they have to encounter is the discipline. And I mean the true essence of what discipline means. I'm not talking about like the discipline of, you know, eating or dieting. I'm talking about doing the same thing every day and just being quiet about the results. Because being an entrepreneur is just that. It's just doing the same thing over and over. Where most people think that is you finding a different way to reinvent a wheel.
Hmm.
It really is like the pitfall is can I beat this mindset of mine? And if you can beat that, then success is on its way. At least you set yourself up for it, like you talked about, with transitioning from being a teacher, already having a dog training business, and then now moving into this space, which is, I don't know, how long has it been? 4 years,
Been over
5 years?
4 years. Yeah, it's been over 4 years now.
Pretty
Yeah.
long time, right? So I think that's something that's often overlooked. It's just the recipe to succeed is all in your discipline. But I will tell you this on record. I will go on record right now and I will say 98% of people, they get a great idea, but they never execute it because they lack the discipline.
Hmm. Okay, let's sit on that idea a little bit. So great idea pops into your head. Okay, I want to use, I'm going to use our business because it's what we're actually professionals in. You have a new agent, they get the idea, you know what, I'm going to pursue this. I know that a lot of people in the United States, they lack financial literacy. So if I can learn this for myself, I can go out and I can share this information with other families and I can make a living off of it. Basically, more families I help, more income I make. It sounds like a pretty good deal. Now, you mentioned mindset, right? The consistency. Let's talk about that because our business is very simple on the surface. Hey, more clients you have, more money you make. Well, now, okay, let's peel back those layers. More clients means you have to be on more appointments. More appointments means you have to be getting more clients. Finding more clients means you have to be actually prospecting, is what we call in our business, prospecting more, finding the ideal clients that you can help. Why do you think the mindset falls short for the new agent, new business owner when it comes to that? Because the concept is simple, but the grind is not. How does paying the price fall into that?
Well, it's got everything to do with okay. So it's got everything to do with short term because we live in a world of instant gratification. So going back to everybody being an employee, I'm not, if you're listening to me right now and we're talking about you being an employee, I'm not shooting you down, but I'm just saying that there is this part where your mind now needs to become conditioned to the disciplines that an entrepreneur has to face. Like an entrepreneur has to have maximum output at times with little income, right? In the beginning. So what people are so used to is that exchange for time and money. And if they do something for so long, say 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and then they decide to make that change to go to become an entrepreneur, they figure, well, oh, shucks, it's going to work the same way. Or at least in their mind, they go, oh, well, I'll give it a year. I got a teammate like that right now, right? I got a teammate who basically didn't know that I knew that they were like, I'm going to give it a year, but you don't really understand. Nobody plants a freaking tree today and expects shade tomorrow. Man. So it's got to be so big that you are okay with paying the price. And the price comes along with the sacrifice. So I'll say this too. For me, one thing as a family man, and for everybody who has a family, one of the sacrifices or the disciplines is you're not going to see your family. You're not going to see your family. I just be honest. Like, I don't say that because I'm so proud, because in the moment it sucks. But man, you fast forward 11 years now, I drop my kids off every day. I pick them up, most of the times, or equal amount of time as my wife does. But there's like, you can't have all of that, not unless you're okay with, the sacrifice and the discipline up front, right? So let me ask you a question, because I know that, you were kind of on the, as you famously state our conversation about, you not having a dog training business, but you just training dogs, right? When you learn this, that you had to transition, like there was something that made you go, yes, I am making money, but I don't want to always be involved in every single dollar that I make. Talk about like not so much the transition, but what the hell snapped in your mind to go, wait a minute, something's off. This is right. When I go back to the time when we had that discussion and I said, you're training dogs, dude, you're not running a business. And I want you to have that in mind, because what I want you to equate to anybody that's listening right now is what made you change your mindset and start going, okay, I now know that there's a price that needs to be paid. I also now understand that I'm not doing this in an efficient manner that's going to be able to get me some results that I want, right? Walk me through your mind when you were kind of in this space. And I think that was like year 2, maybe year 1.5, 2.
No, it was like year 1, to be honest. It was right when we started. Yeah. It happened right away, actually. It coincided perfectly. I'll be honest with you. It was humbling myself. And let me explain what I mean by humbling myself. When things are going right, you think you know everything. So imagine someone coming to you telling you, okay, dude, yeah, I get you. I was making like 10K training some dogs. That's pretty good money. That's not pocket chase by any stretch of the imagination. Imagine someone coming and tell you, yo, dude, this ain't a business like you think. You just got a job training dogs and it pays you pretty well. Well, a part of me was like, dude, forget you. But the other part of me, the side that got humbled was he's not wrong. And I think there's a lesson to be said in that, because there's so many times where we have to coach agents. And I think the hard conversation has to be had. When you think about it, that was technically a hard conversation because it could have gone two ways. I could have got really offended and be like, dude, forget this guy. Who does he think he is? I'm out of here. Telling me that my business isn't a business.
Yep.
The other side was, yo, let me sit back. Let me reflect a little bit. How can I grow from this? And that's when I think it really snapped. Well, if I'm really going to get to the next level, I can't take things personal. I have to hear them for the face value that they are. And I think in our business, for the new agent, if you're listening right now, I think you have to hear what I'm saying. There comes a point in time where if someone's telling you something based off observation, don't take offense to it too quick. Only fools take offense when no offense was intended. Right?
I just wrote that down. That's crazy.
Did you? That's crazy.
I just wrote that down.
Yeah, you don't take offense when none was intended. It's all to help you grow. In fact, you have to really check yourself, because if you're taking offense when none was intended, that's your ego popping out. And I think that's...
Wait, I got to insert here because this is really good. How do you know when not to take offense? How do you define that?
I'll tell you how I was able to define it in that moment, because I can't give you the answer that you're asking right now.
Okay.
I knew the advice was genuine because everyone, all of us know if the shoe fits, then there's some truth to it. And I think only when you're self-aware, you can reflect and be like, they're not wrong. If in the back of my head, you don't have to tell people, because most people will never admit it. But if you could sit back and you're alone in the dark at night and just thinking about it in bed, and you're like, they weren't wrong, then that's when you can actually admit to yourself, like, okay, I shouldn't have taken offense to it. But I think for a lot of times, pride and ego gets in our way, and we never want to actually admit it.
That's true. When you were talking, it made me think like about the big fish in the small pond. And there are people who come into a new industry, or they've had success in the past, and they come into something and then they have the same mentality, not knowing that they have to relearn it. I mean, they have the skill set that's transferable, which is something that you had, right? I wouldn't call being a teacher, is successful in your own right. But then having a dog training business where you guys exploded your income, that definitely, makes a big difference. I think I'm more curious about, like, so say to somebody in our industry right now, right, who is not coming with a level of skill set, but they still know everything, and you're demanding to them, not demand, let me change that word, but you're setting the expectation that, dude, there's a price that you got to pay, no matter how many times you got to freaking train somebody, no matter how many times, right? How do you get people to understand? Now, I know that you can let them go, right? That's the easy answer. I ain't gonna give you the easy way out right now, but how do you get them to understand that there's risk in here, risk management that you have to think about? There's a financial, fiscal responsibility to what we do, or the discipline. Like, how do you get somebody without making them feel small or the taking offense, right? How do you get them to understand that there's a freaking price that's got to be paid, and it's got to be paid up front and in full?
I'm actually going to use a word that you said you didn't want to use right now. You got to demand greatness out of people. Because you know what happens, and I think you just said it right now too, we don't want to hurt their feelings. Sometimes you're going to have to hurt some feelings, and you have to inconvenience people for their own good, damn it. And I think far too often we get to a point in space where we validate people's excuses. People tell you an excuse, and we're like, man, they have a point. Man, forget that. We all have excuses. I'll never forget. I'm going to use you as an example. I had a freaking tumor in my toe. I was in no position to go to no freaking conference. And you bugged the hell out of Liz, my wife. And you told her, you need to get Jeff there. You need to get Jeff there. Mind you, I didn't know you. But you know what you realize? They have the potential to be great. If I can somehow find a way to get this guy to this event, we can change their life. So now when I bug people, like right now, we have a conference coming up in July. I don't take your excuse because I don't give an excuse.
That's good.
I have a baby that's due in July. Guess where I'm going to be? I'm going to find my way to that event. Okay. And when my baby's born, I'm going to find my way back. But I don't want to take an excuse, because when there's a price that needs to be paid, it needs to be paid to live the life that you want, period.
Microphone drop. You hit the nail on the head. Here's the unfortunate part of what I think you're saying is that it's too right. It's too right. It makes too much sense. And the problem with that is that when things are oftenly simple, right? I think what is Einstein say, if it's the complexity thing, where he says if a third grader or a fifth grader can't understand it, it's too complex. I think the problem is that we live in this day and age where people, they embrace things that they don't understand. And then when things are understood, then they need a level of complication to it. It's like inverted. It's kind of weird, if it makes sense, right? So like in my mind, I'm always going like, okay, dumb it down. But then I do find myself doing this. I know you do too. Sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll just speak like a different language of finance. And they'll go, oh my God, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. And then I'll ask him like, well, did you understand? And they don't. They freaking don't get it, right? It's kind of weird when it happens, right? So I don't know why I'm saying all of that, right? But if you're the average person right now and you're in business, because this is a business conversation that I'm having right now, you got to be willing to invest in yourself. And yes, money. And I'm talking about as much as it possibly takes. And you got to be okay with going for broke. You got to be disciplined, because if you want like average, go work the job 9 to 5. That's cool. No knock, right? But don't be out here on social media or at a dinner party, or we're out, you know, with some cigars or something. You talking about your life's getting ready to change, and then you still, you know, eating potato chips on the weekdays, you know, when you get off of work, right? When that 9 to 5 is meant to support your 5 to 9, like you just can't talk in that direction, right? So invest in your business. Don't be the average person. Start paying the price, right? Take the sacrifice. Make the move on discipline. I know that that's something that's really important, right? So I'll let you finish on this one.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. Paying the price comes more than just investing. That's a part of it. It comes to paying the price in money, in time, in skill set, in knowledge, like in ego, in pride. You're going to have to pay the price, and it's going to come in many different forms. But if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to do what the average person is not willing to do, which by the way, they're not, they see the price and you can enter whatever price it is, they're not going to be willing to pay it simply because it's too high for them. It's too expensive, not monetarily, but just overall. It's just too expensive to pay. So if you can tell yourself, you see the price, I'm willing to pay the price, go get it. Because when you pay it, you're going to have the life. You're going to have the bells and whistles that most people see like, man, why can't I have that? It's because you're not willing to pay the freaking price. So I'll end it on there. That's season 4, episode 4, the Alpha Mentality Podcast. By the way, I hope you stuck to the end of this episode, because we have a little raffle coming. Okay. We are making exclusive Alpha Mentality Podcast hats. We're only making 3. One is mine, one is Otis, and one lucky raffle winner. So we will be dropping those details on our Instagram. Stay tuned and be ready, because you're going to get a chance to win an exclusive hat, and only 3 are made worldwide.
Oh my God. It's exclusive. Hope they get it.
That's it. Later, guys.